meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming here, for being with us today. This is our first Regional Entrepreneurship Advisory Committee meeting for the San Diego Community College District. We really appreciate everybody coming here. We would love to be doing this in person, but we're happy to do it how we can. So next slide, please. So my name is Tanya. Next slide, please, Angela. All right. So my name is Tanya Hertz. I am the director of entrepreneurship program at San Diego Miramar College. Today we are going to be talking with several of the people from our constituents. So we'll be hearing from San Diego Miramar College, San Diego Mesa College, City and Continuing Education. We're also going to be hearing from current and past students, from people from industry, from the community that we serve, and really everyone who can help us to really understand what's happening in the world of entrepreneurship. The panel today will be moderated by Alex Waters, and he'll be leading us in a discussion. We'll go through and we'll be asking some questions about the current state of entrepreneurship, and we'd really like everybody, absolutely everybody in the audience today, to participate and to give your feedback. And so we'll be administering a poll while we are going through and talking with the panel. And so please do share your thoughts, answer the questions as we go along. And at the end, we'll have lots of time for you all to speak with one another and to share and talk about what you think. So as we're going through the questions, if you have more to share, please do let us know. You can also put the questions in the chat so we can use that as a gauge. All right, next slide, please. So I'll talk a little bit about the reason why we're here, the reason why we have these advisory committees. We have them in the different colleges, and then we also have them in the different department in different colleges. And really the purpose is to identify what's happening in our programs so that we can make sure that the programs that we're offering to our students are current and representative. So the three main goals of our committee are to identify the gaps in the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are needed to launch and run a profitable business. We also want all of you here to help us by advising us on our curriculum development, and make sure that when we're building and improving our programs, that they're aligned with current industry standards, opportunities, and practices. And we everything that you say, we do take under advisement, and we will absolutely take it seriously and use that to build our programs. And then, of course, the final goal is to help us to develop, to identify, and to strengthen those pathways for our students, whether those pathways are to a four-year university or directly into industry, from community college, or whatever the different pathways are. There's so many different ones in entrepreneurship. We just want to make sure that we're identifying them, we're looking and seeing what people are actually doing, and then building those out. So next slide, please. So again, the committee is composed of all of you. So there's faculty here, we have industry representatives, we have students, we have members from the communities we serve. This is all of you helping us to make our programs better. And next slide. And these people here that you see. This is the planning committee for the advisory committee. These are the different representatives from the various colleges that are represented here today. So that's the San Diego Community College District. We are the largest of the district, or I'm sorry, of the community college districts in California. And all of us came together to ensure that when we were doing this, we weren't asking all of you to come to four different advisory committees. We just decided to combine forces, and we figured together we're stronger. And so we really appreciate you helping us all. Next slide. And the district, like I said, it's comprised of Miramar College, Mesa College, City College, the College of Continuing Education. And we are, there are 100,000 students approximately annually that we serve in our district. We have a huge impact on the economy here in San Diego. The last fiscal year that we have all the data on, the 2019 rather fiscal year, we had economic benefit in the region of $4.4 billion during the fiscal year. So our focus is on serving the communities that we in which we are in. All of us are have a very representative student body. So our student body is diverse in terms of age, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of cultural background. You can see all of these graphs that we're sharing here. These are for the colleges and all of the colleges, the continuing education. You can see the age groups are very representative. The ethnic makeup, very representative of the community that we serve. And so all of us together, our focus is on delivering excellent education to those communities. So next slide, please. So we're going to quickly go through and just share a little bit about each of our programs. Really quickly, my program, I'm with San Diego Miramar College, and we have we're a new program, our entrepreneurship program. We've only been a program offering entrepreneurship classes and an incubator. The incubator for just about a year, the program for going on 2 years now. And since we've started, our program has offered over 130 workshops. We've had 660 students in the go through our incubator. We've helped 36 companies start. We have primarily students starting companies that are more scalable. So we're very mission driven. We are dedicated to diversity, equity, inclusion. We want to help our founders to solve problems by launching scalable, high growth startups. And we've been successful at doing that. We're really proud of the incubator that we built. We have a lot of ed tech startups coming out, VR, AR, AI. We also have the startups in the traditional CTE, continuing education fields, and we have 27 subject areas that we offer certificates in, including auto, diesel, childcare, yoga. Next slide. And we've, like I said, we've offered 130 workshops. We have so many resources that are available to our students. On average, the average student startup that goes through our program, they get about $66,000 worth of resources per semester. And the way that we do that is we don't have the money to do that. And so we practice what we teach, we like to say. And so we leverage the resources and our partnerships with all of you to be able to provide those resources. And we have so many great partners, and some of them are here with us today, including the Lavin Center at SDSU, including Course Key, and so many more. And I saw we have somebody here from SCORE, and all of the amazing partnerships that we've been able to develop to help us to give those resources. So that's my program. I'm going to actually pass it on now. Next slide, please, to San Diego Mesa College to talk about their program. And great. Do we have somebody here from Mesa to talk about their program?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Eddie Landeros.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi. How's everybody?
Good.
Hi, my name is Eddie Landeros. I'm an assistant professor with San Diego Mesa College, and I'm the lead faculty for entrepreneurship at the college. Like Tanya was saying, it's a very important program for us because at the same time, we have other programs that feed into entrepreneurship. We have programs like our fermentation program, where people are interested in learning how to manage a craft beer business or a wine tasting business. So a big component of that is obviously entrepreneurship, business, and so forth. So we get a lot of students from that program. We get a lot of students from our physical education programs. A lot of people want to be personal trainers, gym owners, a lot of service-oriented businesses, a lot of marketing consultants, pet grooming, barbers, stylists. We also have our culinary program. This is a great program that teaches people how to run a food business. So we work with them as well. We get a lot of people that are a lot of students that are interested in opening restaurants, bars, food trucks, things like that. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, Eddie. Thanks. So next, it looks like we have Leroy from San Diego City College.
Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Leroy Brady from San Diego City College. I am the chair of the business department. This morning, I'd like to share with you a couple of things, maybe 3 things from our program. We have a very robust entrepreneurship program. Sharing with you this morning is the fantastic work we're doing in our accounting with teaching students how to prepare themselves to be able to be tax preparers. In the process, they are working with community members and delivering back thousands of dollars in returns back to the community. Also, our cosmetology program, which is many times busting at the seams. This program is very unique because in a matter of 18 months, we can equip a person who can go out and start either be part of a salon or start their own business. Lastly, that I'd like to bring to your attention is the emerging cannabis industry. And we are probably the first, if not maybe the only college across the country that has a class that is entitled The Business of Cannabis. And as most of you know, this is not only an emerging business, but a very lucrative business, and students are interested in how they can find out about this business. It's underwritten, our class is underwritten by the generosity of March and Ash, which is located in Mission Valley.
Great, thank you so much, Leroy. And next slide, please. Great. So from San Diego Continuing Education, Matthew, did you want to take this?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, me, Matthew Rivaldi, and our other professor, Dr. Ifland, are here to represent San Diego College of Continuing Education. We won the National Association of Community Colleges 2019 Entrepreneur College of the Year a few years ago. I wish we could take all the credit for the entrepreneurship program, but our non-credit programs offer a wide variety of skill-based learning in very short amount of time. We have welding, we have auto, we have tech, we have cybersecurity. So a lot of the students that come into our entrepreneurship program, if you can go to the previous slide, please. A lot of the students that go through our program come in very, very skilled. So we culminate with a capstone pitch project, and this is an example of some of our students in here. One of the students won the second place in our statewide entrepreneur pitch, elevator pitch competition. So I'm just super proud of what we do. Next slide, please. We have a large variety of students that come to our class. What's unique about non-credit is that almost all of my students, when I ask them in the first day of class, are you here to start a business? They all raise their hand. So we have a very no frills approach, nuts and bolts, teaching permits, licensing, business models, financial projections, in order to help these students become successful in launching their small business. So we get a very wide variety of entrepreneurs come through, and also a very diverse background. Many of our students already have advanced degrees, and they come back, and we have a couple of panelists here that are going to speak on what their needs are. So I'm going to stop talking and listen to them.
Awesome. So we'll actually pass it over now to Alex Waters, who's the chair of the Regional Advisory Committee, to introduce himself and to introduce the panel.
Thank you, Tanya. So really excited to be here and learn from all the folks that are going to be sort of sharing a little bit about their entrepreneurial journey, but then also sort of where there might be some gaps or some opportunities for improvement. So I'm the director of Connect All the Jacob Center, a city-funded initiative to really focus on low to moderate income and diverse entrepreneurs. But what I'd like for everybody to do, for the folks who are going to be on the panel, just to kind of go around really quickly, tell us who you are, sort of what your company is or organization is, and then we'll dive into some of the questions. And we really want to keep it open and honest, right? Like, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the things you face? Because it's all about improvement. So I will kick it off with, let's start with Karen.
All right, thank you, Alex. My name is Karen. I am a student at Miramar College in San Diego. I am also part of the Regional Entrepreneurship Center, where I founded my company, Vidovi. Vidovi provides entrepreneurship educational resources to tradeswomen in the aesthetic beauty industry through their vocational programs. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to speaking on the panel today.
Awesome, great. Well, I guess I'll make it easy. I'll just call out the different people. So Danielle.
Apologies, Danielle is going to be a little bit late. She's going to join us a little bit later. Yep.
Okay, so we'll go to Alex.
Hi, everybody. Alex DeNoble. I'm the executive director of the Lavin Entrepreneurship Center at San Diego State University and a professor of entrepreneurship in our Fowler College of Business. And we work very closely with Tanya, and we're expanding our efforts working with Jennifer and the rest of the community colleges to tighten the linkage between, in particular, SDSU and our local community colleges. So thank you.
Great, we can go to Ryan.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Ryan Bancher. I'm actually a co-founder of a company called Course Keys, started back in 2014 at the Lavin Entrepreneur Program, as well as the Zon, I think you guys call it the Launchpad now. I was sort of, an initial student in Tanya's class. I had a chance to work with Alex while we were doing some, business school competitions and things like that. So I'm pretty much a product of, I think, what you guys are trying to accomplish here. The entrepreneurship ecosystem sort of spit out, where I am today. And so I just wanted to make sure I came back and close the loop for the panel on, what really helped us accelerate our business. Being a Series B funded company, we've raised about $20 million in the last 6 or 7 years. And so I think a lot of that really comes from our initial stages and how we leverage the resources. So I just wanted to make sure that you had somebody that could speak to that today. Look forward to having the conversation.
Great. I don't know if I can see everybody. Is it Katayun? Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm sorry.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Hi, I'm Katayun. I am a dancer. I have been involved in various performing arts businesses. I've started several performing arts businesses, mostly in Virginia. My business now is mostly online, like a lot of instructors and other business people. I pivoted to the online formats using technology during COVID, and that's really shifted really everything that I had learned previously about running businesses. And I'm currently actually looking a little bit bigger into the entrepreneurship space to not just to teach dance as an exercise, but to really learn about companies and what their needs are for their employees, and kind of going into the talent and development part of that in the coaching in various areas. So I'm doing a lot of research on that, but I actually come from performing arts and presentation background, and bringing all of that in and using technology, things like that in my business. But I'm looking forward to hearing about all the other voices as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm not sure if I can see if everyone is in the room. The panelist, is it Shabnam? Is that how you say your name?
Yes, that's Shabnam. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Shabnam Shahfar. I'm a student at the San Diego Continuing Education. My background is engineering, and I'm currently in my entrepreneurship journey to start my business in the health and tech industry to create air quality monitors for inside the buildings to monitor the air. and I'm glad to be here.
Great, thank you. So Paul, is Paul here?
Yes, hi everyone. My name's Paul Keane. I'm actually a graduate student of San Diego Continuing Education as well. And I did the small business planning and growth class. And currently I'm the owner of Wildfire Mitigation Services, LLC, which is basically a consultancy business that offers residential risk assessments for residential properties. So personal home properties, protection just to reduce the risk from wildfire threat across the San Diego area. So as well as that, I have a background in environmental sciences and environmental management, and that was the first real introduction for myself getting involved in this sort of work. Just a background in the biological sciences and natural resource management. So thank you. Look forward to today.
Awesome. Thank you. And last but not least, Giacomo.
Hello. Let me start the video. My name is Giacomo Pizzigoni. I am a former MBA student at San Diego State, where I actually studied with Tanya Hertz, and Alex Noble was one of my professors. I own the Milano 5 Group LLC here in San Diego, through which I control 5 different restaurants, different concepts under the same umbrella. We're quickly expanding throughout the county, and we have projects in different states in the US and abroad. And I love to participate in the REC and try to give current students, as much feedback as possible to help them see that they can achieve their entrepreneurial dreams. And I love to share how my MBA at San Diego State, and generally speaking, like entrepreneurship classes, help me have a different approach in the restaurant industry, which is way more business oriented and focused than the typical restaurant entrepreneurs.
All right, great, thank you. So thanks everyone for joining us. And that's just to give kind of a background of some of the folks that are going to be in the panel. Everyone won't have an opportunity to answer all of the individual questions, but let's kind of quickly go around, because some people had mentioned it, but we want to make sure. Can you flip to the next slide, please? Really kind of what motivated you to start the business, right? I mean, a lot of people have a lot of different reasons why they get into it, but I think it's really important to kind of know what that is. So we'll go around for a couple of folks. Like, what was the motivation? And anybody can just jump in really quickly, and we'll just kind of go around and keep it sort of open.
And the audience is getting a poll question at the same time, just so you know, Alex, and you guys are welcome just to answer at the same time. So cool.
I guess I'll go and start.
Go ahead.
I would say that what really led me to, or motivated me to start a business is 2 things. First and foremost, to be my own boss. I mean, I feel like that's why a lot of people decide to start their own business. But secondly, and I feel most importantly, was witnessing my peers struggle. Witnessing them struggle was really kind of the most and key motivating factor, is nobody's doing anything about it, and it's right in front of everybody's face and affecting everyone. So, and in my particular industry.
Yeah, I mean, mine was the realization that, and I talk about this all the time, like that I was priced out of starting a business. That, you know, my family, you know, we didn't have $500,000 or whatever my conception of like a startup cost would be. And then I kind of just stumbled into the Entrepreneurship Center at San Diego State, and they're saying all you needed to have was an idea. And I didn't have that either, but I met somebody that had one, and we were still able to, you know, kind of get into the center and go through the experience of, you know, I guess playing with entrepreneurship was what I was doing when I started. But as soon as you told me I wasn't priced out of it, and that barrier to entry that I always thought existed was gone, it just made it a real easy, especially as a student. You know, you're already broke, you're kind of living the startup lifestyle anyways. So it was just like an extra opportunity for me to take advantage of my time at the campus. And it just made it really easy to do that.
I personally think that flexibility, being your own boss, financial stability are all, you know, obviously great things that people want to achieve being entrepreneurs. But one thing that we don't talk a lot about in business schools or even in high school. As a former student, that you don't hear is how important, and I can tell you from my own experience, how important it is to do something you love and you're passionate about. Like for me, I don't work a single day in my week. It's like my hobby, my passion, my most fun activity, what I do. And that for me was a life changer and a game changer, because the moment that you're passionate about it, the effort you put and the skills you put to work multiply their value by infinite number. It makes a really big difference.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that. For me, it was kind of a combination of that and a need that I saw. I was actually looking for a system for my own family and myself, and I couldn't find any solution that's good enough. So then I'm lucky enough that I have the background of engineering and all that, and it brought the skills. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go build this. So I found a need, and then that's something that I'm also very passionate about. So that's how motivated me, and it does every day.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, all of that as well. And to the extent that flexibility and independence is a huge thing, I think, today. I don't think the workplace offers that, the traditional workplace. And for that reason, I think it's probably why a lot of people are searching to, you know, find themselves again and to be able to use maybe more of the skills that workplaces don't always offer them, even though they had learned them in the past. And so for me, it was about kind of fulfilling those needs. And I feel I found that in starting to kind of be more expansive with the range of skills that I've picked up. And funnily enough, I picked up a lot of those experiences and skills in the traditional workplace, but then had the desire then and was motivated to want to do more with them. And so again, going back to that idea of flexibility, that isn't always offered in the workplace, that one can do on their own or working with others in a self-employment situation, for example. Yeah.
I agree with everything everyone said about, especially about the passion, having the flexibility to be able to solve the problems that you see and have the ability to do that, the skills. For me, it was also the traditional workplace for me was a school where I was a teacher. And oftentimes we, as the employees, don't always get to be in on the big picture. I happened to be in a school that shared that. It was a small enough school that shared that, but in a lot of bigger institutions where a lot of the jobs are offered, I felt that there wasn't enough opportunity for the employees to be part of the bigger picture and be able to use their own skills and strengths to bring to the company rather the other way around. We need you to do this. Whereas for me, it was more about, but I have a better way, or can we try this? And it was something that you don't get to experiment a lot in, I think, traditional workplaces. And for me, that was really important. Let's experiment, and gives you the being in your own space and in your own business. You really get to do that and figure out what works. And I really appreciated that.
That's awesome. Thank you. So thank you all for sharing a little bit about that. What I want to do now is that there's a couple questions sort of on the screen, and for everybody who's in attendance, they can kind of see them. But I really, for the interest of time, kind of want to jump forward a little bit to some of the gaps, right? Because one of the reasons why we're here is to really kind of talk about, like, what ways are there opportunities sort of to improve. And so if we can go to the next slide. So for you, or just areas in general, like, what are you seeing when you're sort of experienced with working with as a new entrepreneur or new entrepreneurs that really kind of stand out, right? So is there anything with respect to gaps that people don't have, that you didn't have, that really stood out to you sort of as starting in the entrepreneurial journey?
I think there's one huge one that we didn't have to deal with because we leveraged these entrepreneur centers as, you know, kind of like a place for us to collaborate. And it was somewhere we always could physically be around each other. And there's a huge benefit to that, right? Just sitting next to each other, tossing ideas. And then when I started working with a lot of these teams as a mentor and COVID hit, you know, a lot of them had really good progress, really good momentum. And as soon as it became a remote, you know, first 100% type situation, it was like things came halting, like they came screeching to a halt. And so I think there's, whether there's a post-COVID, you know, everything goes back to normal, or, you know, it's more of like a hybrid, which is what we've been seeing in our market. I think there needs to be a new emphasis on like, how do you manage businesses and resources and teammates and ideas and projects when you're not in person and when you can't meet up physically and when you can't get to the center to ask an expert. And I think centers have to adopt their approach on how they deliver those resources as well. I think that's one of the reasons the rec survived the first year. I was working with Tanya getting that set up, and we had like a launch and a live everything, and it was going to be all on campus, brick and mortar. And then all of a sudden we couldn't. But out of that, you know, you pivot, you make some adjustments, and now, you know, she's helped coordinate, you know, all the stats that you saw on that screen. So I think the ability for centers to understand what that looks like after COVID and how students need to be prepped to adopt to that if they're going to keep that momentum going was huge, and something that we didn't have to deal with, but I saw a lot of teams struggle, you know, during that process.
Yeah, I'd like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, go for it.
Thank you. I'd like to piggyback on that. I noticed that with myself and with other, when I would train instructors, there's a huge gap in knowledge of technology, to how to use certain technologies in your industry. If you come from a tech industry or you're already in that, then that's great. It's very easy to, you know, learn something new. But I think for many of us, I know from my industry, once COVID hit and we all had to kind of transition into online, it wasn't just about learning how to teach and conduct business virtually, but it was all of a sudden, there were so many other things that required technology, or just the fact that so many different technologies exist, and being able to identify which are the ones that might be helpful for your business or that might be critical in the future, to kind of jump on that while it's still in that newish phase. But I think for me and a lot of people in my industry, there is a huge technology, just knowledge of technology and comfort with using it. All different ages too. I don't think age has anything to do with it.
You know, I would jump in with you know, piggybacking on both of what you had to say. You know, Ryan, I mean, when we talk about entrepreneurship, I mean, we're already using language. What was it like pre-COVID? What are we doing during COVID? And what is the new normal going to look like? Because it's, in what we're trying to train in entrepreneurship education, one of the gaps is really being able to trend spot, look at these trends, look at where markets are going, so you can position yourself to be a player in where you think those markets are going. And taking into consideration the emerging technology piece, what this pandemic has done, it has accelerated the pace of awareness and competency in utilizing new technologies, and it's forcing existing businesses to rethink their business processes and their whole entrepreneurial ecosystem. And what we need to be teaching our current and future students is how to incorporate these emerging technologies within their business models. Because these technologies are radically implementing or radically affecting business model design, which is a big aspect of it. So we're pretty excited about it from the opportunities perspective, but it's necessary for us to be cognizant of as we design pedagogy and curriculum.
I'd like to jump on that, because as much as it sucks saying that, but for my personal business, funny enough, COVID has been actually really good, because, and you know, that's where I believe the business knowledge from business school helped. It created a massive opportunity, a massive opportunity. And if you're quick to pivot your concept and adjust, then that's where the growth potential is. Because a lot of questions, I have guests that come all the time and say, hey, how are you guys doing with COVID? Are you struggling? Blah, blah, blah. No, we're actually opening 3 locations in the next 3 months. And is it scary and crazy? A bit, yes, but this is where we have momentum right now. This is where the opportunity is. So I think it's a good time not to be scared, actually, but to keep pushing. And the other thing I wanted to mention in the other slide, one thing that I learned in business school, and I think it was Professor DeNoble actually told me many times, to get out of the building and go talk to potential customer, test the market, see if the business is feasible. That's something I think every entrepreneurship program, every school should push students to do a lot. Like, not to waste too much time doing business plans in class without any solid foundation. Like, get out and talk and listen and see if it actually works. I did undergraduate in Italy, where it was a lot of theory. Great school, top 10 Financial Times, just learning on books, completely pointless compared to what I learned in my MBA at San Diego State, which was extremely practical. So if it's a suggestion you can give to your students, is that, like, get out of the building and make sure your business makes sense.
You know, one of the differentiators, Giacomo, and I'm so pleased to see how you're thriving and growing your business this way. We've looked at businesses and we're trying to differentiate what's the factor that where some businesses survive and grow in an environment like this, while others are not able to do that. And the underlying difference is resiliency. And you've been able to reimagine your business processes and quickly convert it to new ways that your customers are going to be interfacing with you. And you've adapted to that through resiliency. And that's what we need to be teaching our students as well, is that a resilient kind of a mindset.
I'd like to piggyback off of what you both are saying, and what I think is a major gap is not just, I mean, I'm a student who has been an entrepreneur for a year and a half at the most. And, you know, when you're new into this environment, you think everything is important. You don't know what to make a priority and what not to. I think a lot of things that, you know, maybe isn't the most fun to talk about is, you know, one, of course, mental health is something a lot of people is a big hot topic. It doesn't matter what technologies you can incorporate into your company if you can't manage them because you haven't been taught time management skills, or it hasn't been stressed. Soft skills on how to protect your mental health from the mass amount of failures that you're inevitably going to encounter. I mean, resiliency, of course, is a key component that some people maybe possess naturally or need to be developed, but I think resiliency will come along with the territory of being skilled in time management and knowing how to protect your mental health, and knowing and being taught what's important and what's not, because, you know, everything can have some sort of importance. A business plan could be important. And people do say that you shouldn't even have an idea, or you shouldn't even go until you have that. So as a student, I think really that soft skills is something that needs to be more of a priority in entrepreneurship.
I'd just like to second all of that and just say that, yeah, earlier I wrote something down that, you know, at least I think everyone experiences this when they're trying to develop a business. And for me, there was a lot of stop and go and changing direction at times. And so remaining flexible with your original idea may be key to the success with it in the long run. And so, and part of that is like a lot of what I learned in the business planning course and the growth course of it takes so much to bring together to actually make an idea practical. And so for that reason, I guess just learning to be flexible, and that goes back to the idea of resiliency and an emotional capacity that you were talking about, Karen, to be able to tap into parts of yourself that you may be talking with others about and sharing ideas about, and then sharing the concerns essentially of how you're actually going to manage all these different things. So yeah, I just like to point that out as well. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with all these points, and I think it's important that like to teach that the entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, and it's okay to fail or like be prepared that you're not gonna, your first idea is not gonna be the best idea. You're gonna hear no, you're gonna fail, and then kind of, you know, get used to it and continue or have that resilience. And I think all this, that's why all these programs, and especially the one that I attended, are so great, because having a mentor or somebody that has gone through all that process and then has all the knowledge and you know, the experience is really helpful, because it'll help you to get the questions that you need to ask. And it's not just like the curriculum, it's also like the experiences, the practical aspects of it that helps. Not just in my experience.
That's awesome. Thank you. We have one analyst joined in, and I'd love to give them an opportunity to sort of introduce themselves, and then if they have any thoughts on the sort of the last question that we were kind of talking about. So Danielle.
Hi, my name is Danielle Flynn. I'm currently a student and anticipating on opening an e-commerce later this year. One trend that I see emerging with entrepreneurs through social media would be teaching and offering master classes either on LinkedIn or their own YouTube channel or through Instagram. Those are one of the major trends that I've seen very popular, especially with being remotely, where instead of directing their clients or customers away, they're trying to gather more opportunities to create businesses for masterclass. Like if I have a design firm, I'm going to teach you the skills that I know so you can feng shui your own apartment with home decor. Or if I'm a photographer, I'll offer classes to teach you how to take photography for a basic person starting. That's one of the biggest trends that I've noticed.
I strongly agree. And I think in classes, you need, I mean, it would be great to start teaching the students how to see social media as an extremely powerful marketing tool at a very low cost. I just opened a small concept in La Jolla, which I made very Instagram friendly, and basically just invited an influencer for dinner that posted a video on TikTok, generated 250,000 views. I got packed with customers in the following days. Cost $15 of free dinner for two. So it is actually extremely powerful. And I think TikTok might be the new future, and it's very new. So it's something great for the students to tap in right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you. We have, we'll do probably, I guess, one more kind of question, and we can, if you can go to the next slide. So, you know, we know that the programs are great and that people have sort of helped as they've been going through the process, but I want to just kind of throw out there, like, for the educational institutions you went to, like, did they actually prepare you for the journey that you're on right now? And if so, you know, how did they do that? And if not, what was missing, right? What wasn't there that you needed to sort of find other places? And like I said, you know, it's a place for us to kind of get more information and more details. So definitely feel free to be as open and honest as possible about any of your experience with the educational institutions you went to.
I would like to say I did not. I went to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, and I majored in menswear. And I also attended Rutgers Business School. But those two institutions, and I also attended Mesa College after high school for fashion design. I did not experience preparation for my entrepreneur path. Those were steps that I took outside of the financial institutions that I attended to seek more information, and thus led me to the continuing ed. When I lived back in New Jersey, I took like a seminar, like a 6-week seminar for prudential small businesses in Newark, New Jersey. So my education that I received prepared me to work for a corporation and not necessarily myself. So those were the steps that I took in as far as development of what I needed and the questions that I might have had when trying to create my own business plan, or how do I market myself, or I know the structure to design apparel, but how do I do that as a small business? I did not gain that information in the institutions that I attended.
I think it depends on what type of education you're talking about. Like, for example, my engineering education did prepare me to be a good engineer, that not necessarily to be a good business person, because that's what expected of that education. It's not expected to prepare me for anything else. But but the education that I got at the entrepreneurship education that I got at the CE, that definitely, absolutely, like, prepared me to be a successful entrepreneur. So, and I think it's not just one piece that like makes you that you can pinpoint and say this education or that thing. It's kind of an accumulation of like all your experiences, all your past education and everything. And for me, the part that glued everything together and was the education at the entrepreneurship, the small business education at the CE, that kind of glued everything together and absolutely got me ready and prepared. And it wasn't, and you know, and that's true, but it was even more than that. Like any questions that I had, like specific to my business, not just to the curriculum. I asked a lot of questions, and then each question that I asked, like I was offered with a lot of information, like a wealth of information, and the right direction that I can go, and you know, now on my own, or like with some minor help, figure out this problem that I need to solve. So I think it's kind of a mix, but yes, definitely the right education.
Can I just speak to this very quickly? From an educational perspective, and I'm on a couple of alumni boards for colleges and in different sectors of education. And what I have to say to you is from the previous speaker, remember 85% of the kids that are going to come out of schools, they're going to work for somebody. And so entrepreneurship is not a big deal for these schools, for those kids, because you want to educate the 85%. What's really important about this, what's happening right here in San Diego, and what is really important about this panel on entrepreneurship is these are kids, the 15 to 10% that want to go off on their own and try it and do it their own. And can we provide enough infrastructure for that support to go forward? That's what we need to be doing. And all of these questions, all these things are great, because that's what we all want. We all want the kids to come out and say, I can start a business.
At
Right?
least the fact that you should be expanding on these programs. I mean, I'd like to also agree with Ray on that. Essentially, these classes are not preparing you how to run a business. There's very few things, I believe, that prepare you for the journey that you go through as an entrepreneur. One of them, I think, is the rec, because just from being in my iterations with the rec, I've gone through a lot of massive failures. I've gone to vocational school, where most vocational students go to trade school to work for themselves, and they don't even teach entrepreneurship. So I think without accelerator programs, there's very few things that are going to prepare you to be an entrepreneur that are unlike those programs.
You know, that's why it takes a community and it takes an ecosystem to do it, because I think each of us brings, or each of our organizations brings a different dimension to the table. So Karen, just last night in my graduate entrepreneurship class, these are graduate students, we were talking about mental health and
Right.
the importance of that if you're going to be managing the multifaceted aspects of a uncertain environment. So what we could do in a organization like ours is provide those experiences so that you experience the failures while you're with us.
Day
Because
one.
it's low risk failures,
Right.
but it's the experiences and the skill sets and competencies that we're trying to develop versus the hands-on, here's the steps to go start a business, because other organizations in the community can do that coupled with what we're doing. So it really is a community effort.
Absolutely.
I have to say I completely agree with all of that. And just to the extent that you learn things in class, I mean, they're important, but they actually gave me, and I think a lot of others, obviously, they enable you, I think, to hit the ground running, but you do have to do a lot more, but you were there in the first place because of it. And for me, it was about structure. I've done a high level of education, and I've only done it because I've been able to do it in structured environments where you had mentorship, you have people, telling you can do it. And it's not just being told you can do it, you can do it, you have the internal motivation. It's just sometimes a bit of structure goes a long way. And entrepreneurs need that over the long term. Sometimes it might be 6 months, sometimes it might be a year. But I found with the course, when it ended, I not only had the structure, I had this network of some of the teachers and also some of the students I kept in contact with. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the ability to just have these little meetings, impromptu meetings where you could share your concerns, because in the beginning, it's not always, it's not always easy to get support from your internal network. And sometimes going outside to a wider network is critical. And so the fact that San Diego Continuing Education for me kept it extensively continuing for me over time, with whether it was just saying hello or me knowing that I could contact them and they would get back to me, and more or less when they could or immediately, and getting involved in other workshops or meetings, that just went a very long way, because you do have to learn how to balance some of those struggles on your own. But if you're all alone for a long time, eventually it becomes too much. And if you're connected to that wider network and that ecosystem, like you were saying earlier, Alex, is really critical, I felt, for my development. Yeah.
I just wanted to, Alex, if you wanted to add just one last thing, I didn't want to.
I was just gonna build on that, Paul. I mean, as an example of that, we could talk about and we could give them some experiences like, well, here's what's AI all about, or how virtual reality, augmented. I mean, we could expose them to the technologies and talk about potential applications of the technologies, but they have to engage the way you're talking about and the way everyone here is talking about, because that's the penchant for action. That's the motivation for people that really want to act and pursue it. We can give them tools, concepts, and techniques, but it's up to the individual to take it from there.
Yeah. So thank you all, and thank you to the whole panel. Unfortunately, just because of time, we are going to need to move on. I really want to also encourage everyone in the audience. Thank you for answering those poll questions. But if you do have more to add, I love the comments that are coming in the chat. So please do put your comments in on the chat. Angela, can you go to the next slide, please? So I wanted to just take a couple minutes to get the perspective of some of our local government representatives, our local representatives, and see if they could give us their take on the entrepreneurship ecosystem and the current health of entrepreneurship right now, and just their insights. So I'd like to introduce briefly or quickly Jennifer Patel and Kevin Sullivan, and then afterwards we are going to give a few more questions to the audience and to the panel for everyone to join in, and then we'll have a much looser structure and just get everyone's input from there. So for now though, Jennifer, are you there?
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Patel. I'm the Regional Director for Business and Entrepreneurship for the San Diego and Imperial Community Colleges. We actually have 10 community colleges in our region, 4 are represented here today. And I want to thank all of you for being here, because this information will impact our programs and help us be the best that we can in this ecosystem that we have here in San Diego. This position, I've had a lot of opportunities to work with entrepreneurs and work within the ecosystem. And I have the honor of serving on the Startup San Diego board. So what we want to do as community colleges is make sure that we're fitting into this ecosystem. The ecosystem in San Diego is so collaborative, and there's so many resources for entrepreneurs. And I want to make sure that the community college programs are just another resource for our entrepreneurs. One of the things, if you aren't aware, our programs are super affordable. It's only $46 a unit, and actually at the College of Continuing Education, where it's non-credit, there's free courses. So something to think about for our entrepreneurs. And I again just want to thank all of you, because your opinions matter, and this will help direct our curriculum. So I am not going to talk anymore, so that we can actually hear from all of the entrepreneurs and the people who are also providing resources here in the ecosystem already, and we can have some good conversations. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I don't know if Kevin is still with us, if he had to step out. So I think he might have had to leave. Okay, so if that's, ask Angela again to share your slides, your screen, and then we can open it back up to the audience for questions. So perfect, thanks, Angela. So if you can go back to the questions. Great. So, and Alex, I wanted to, Alex, actually Alex Waters wanted to, not to Noble, but thanks, Alex, wanted to see if there were any of the other questions that you wanted to make sure that we covered while we had time.
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think that the panelists kind of covered a lot of some of the ones that we were interested in, but would love to get some insights, thoughts, feedback from other folks, if there were specific questions that people might have had of the entrepreneurs that were on the panel that could help understand, what are the different kind of curriculum needs, or what are the different kind of gaps there. I'd love to just open it up for that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So great, so wonderful. Let's open it up. Anybody have anything they'd like to share, or any questions that they'd like to address?
I would just like to introduce myself. Hi. This is Jennifer Walshvik. I teach hospitality and tourism at Mesa High School. And I love this program. I met Tanya at the town council meeting, and it was such perfect timing, because I take my hospitality and tourism class through an entrepreneurship program, not as extensive, obviously, as it is at Miramar College, but they do have to create a restaurant plan, and they have to, there's a whole bunch of requirements for their business plan. And then we end up inviting, once they have their restaurant done and they have their plan going, then I invite community leaders and members to come and actually critique them and evaluate them on their presentations. And that is usually, of course, when we're in person. So we're not going to be doing that this year in person, but we are going to do it virtually. And so I'm hoping to be able to invite some guests to come and listen to my students as they present their restaurants. So they're kind of in the middle of doing that right now, creating their name, their logo, their USP, their slogan, their SWOT. They're doing all of that right now, and towards the end of May. So if anybody is interested in sitting on that panel, let me know. I would love it.
Great. I'll absolutely. And if you want to put that in the chat for the audience, that would be great. And just so you know, we do have that high school, an information session for high school students tonight at 6 o'clock in the same room, if anybody's interested in that. So thank you for sharing there. Yeah, great.
Thank you. Shh, guys, I'm in a meeting. I'm sorry, I still have kids in my class.
Love it, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm putting my information in the chat right now.
Wonderful. So great. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Any thoughts on?
So Tanya, can I very quickly, this is Ray Fryworth. I'm going to quickly speak. I noticed a few PM members here from TCA. We're trying to lead a small task force to try to find out microfunding for these types of entrepreneurial programs in the schools. And the challenge we've come up against, I wish the city, some of the folks from the city were still here. We're trying to figure out how to best serve microfunding at 5 to 10 to 15K for some of these startups, which is a good amount, we believe, you know, after talking to a few people, where a lot of the startups can actually get their feet on the ground, get some stuff done, their fees and all of these things, or actually have the city come up and pay some of that out from some kind of structured grant writing or whatever. But anyhow, if anybody's interested in that, please get a hold of me. We're still trying to figure it out. We'd like to fund, I know from a TCA perspective, these types of adventures, but it's just the fee structure on getting the fund up or even these micro ventures up. So anyhow, that's all I have to say. And you guys can reach out to me.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yep. Question in the chat that I think is really important. I don't know if you guys saw it from Alexa.
Yeah, Alexis, maybe you can elaborate on that question if you have the chance to talk right now.
Yeah, definitely. Good afternoon, everyone. Great job, Rec Lab. Super supporter of the Rec Lab and everything you do at Miramar. You know, we actually help entrepreneurs in City Heights, and so with COVID, it just kind of shined a bigger light on the need for technology and the need for, you know, high growth potential includes technology. And so in communities where we know there's a digital equity problem, you know, how is the community college or even SDSU addressing the gap in technology, right? Or the use of. And I'll just give you a little bit of back history. You know, I stepped into this role about 6 months ago, and I've been doing a little bit of assessment on just our community. And, you know, it's not just the access of technology, but Wi-Fi. And I think, Karen, you addressed this as well, like the use of technology, right? And expanding on the use. And so just, you know, just kind of gathering ideas of like what others are doing to look at that, or as entrepreneurs, what did you do to address that gap in your own knowledge?
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. You know, thank you for sharing, Alexis. And I would love to get feedback on that. So if anybody has any feedback, what you've been doing in terms of addressing that gap.
I have a lot of experience in addressing gaps in knowledge and skills. And I think recently it's been YouTube. It's just individual people who put out really basic things that we just, you know, if we're not in the know, we just don't know what to do. And just small courses, Coursera, especially things in marketing, that uses a lot of technology. And I think for me, that was my biggest challenge. It always is the biggest challenge, is just marketing, just keeping up with that and the techniques and technology. But I think for me, I just researching it on my own and just finding like either little courses low cost or free, or just piecemealing things together. I think for me that was the first go-to. If I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know where to go for that.
Great, thank you. Really a quick follow-up just from the entrepreneurs. If you were like in your situation, if you didn't have technology and that was something that you needed access to, what would be the ideal for you? Because if we're creating, I guess where I'm coming from is if I'm trying to fill this gap and this is an imaginable world, right? And I'm getting money to do this, what would be the easiest for entrepreneurs to be able to access that, right? Like if you wanted to tackle technology or you wanted to add a technological component to your company, what would be the easiest for you right now to be able to access that?
I was just going to say also, yeah, because we are, at the community colleges, obviously trying to address this all the time, and we have different programs, but we do want to make sure that what we're doing is the right thing, right? That we're, we provide the laptops and the Wi-Fi, but is it what, is it what you need? So yeah, so please, I would love to hear from the entrepreneurs as well.
Tanya,
can
you hear me?
Oh yeah, so I don't know, was it Eddie was talking?
Yes,
and then,
yes.
okay.
Hi, I just wanted to make a comment. Previous to my academic life, I spent a lot of years in business lending, financing small businesses, and I come from a world that getting a business loan is not easy. I think we've talked about, I think Ray mentioned it, just launching the business, just getting access to capital is just not easy. There's a lot of alternative lenders out there, which are nonprofit organizations, CDFIs, what we call CDFIs in the market. I used to work for one, a large one, CDC, Small Business Finance, and they focus, their mission is to help small business owners that are not able to get loans with banks. And that includes startups, that includes people that have had, issues with their credit. Maybe they don't have the greatest business plan or the greatest projections, but I just wanted to throw out there that if anybody needs information on that or would like somebody from those organizations, there's a few here in California, to come and talk to your groups or talk to you individually to see if they can help you with your business, or even get a $5,000 loan or a $500, $1,000 loan. There's organizations out there that will help you get started and grow. So if anybody's interested in making those connections, just let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Sorry, somebody else was speaking here. I appreciate you saying that. I'm always hoping that we'll have more access for those early stage startups to get access to capital. That's maybe not so much loan, but also grants. It's tough. There's not a whole lot out there, but there are there are some programs available, and we're always looking for more and doing what we can to get those opportunities to you. So yeah, absolutely. And then somebody else was trying to talk, and
Tanya, this is Vivek. I just wanted to talk I have one comment and a question for the panelists and all the colleges actually. So comment is that I invest in startups, and we have run a successful program with Miramar for the high school students, as you know, most of people know, and we did a pretty good job with Alex actually at the CEC. So thanks, Alex, for that. I think one of the things which I found specifically across the startup domain is that, and since we're talking about technology, is to take the startups over the hump of execution using a technology, because that's the biggest ideas. Sorry to be blunt about it. Ideas are dime a dozen typically in this world. Okay, I'm sorry to be saying this way, but in the way typically happens, execution and how to take it through the process is something that training can come through the schools and colleges and through and what Tanya's REC is doing. So that's a comment. And of course, we have worked with 21IQ to give some training courses and other workshops around it. But the one interesting part I do want to, and we can discuss with other folks as well, but the interesting point of what I would like to ask the colleges is that how would you like to harmonize the efforts across the courses, across the plans which needs to be done so that people can move around from one college to another college if it is needed. I'm not saying that it has to be that way, but for that you can tap onto different kind of resources across different colleges if it is needed from a specific incubation perspective. Just a question for the panelists and maybe Tanya, people those who are on the call.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's one of the benefits of being in this this unique district structure. Students can easily transition between the different, our 4 colleges in the San Diego Community College District. And then with these new partnerships that we've been establishing with some of the 4-year universities and industry partners, it also makes it easier. We've been working pretty closely with Alex at SDSU and other and other organizations to make it easier, to always make it easier. And then one thing about the technology that I wanted to say, and I'm so glad that Giacomo said this, about things like social media marketing. So often people think that there's, it's something that, grandiose or mysterious, and really it's about using the tools that people are using, things like TikTok, where people are. And so I'm glad that we've been able to do that. I'm glad that you said that and that you've had a lot of success with that.
To dovetail on Vivek's question, since I started working more closely with you, Tanya, and Jennifer, and now meeting Vivek and other people in this ecosystem, I guess I had one perspective. I mean, the focus that we've always had is at the 4-year at San Diego State, as an example, is thinking about the tag program between the community colleges and bringing them into the 4-year institutions so that we can continue that effort. But one of the things that I learned about all of you, and then in this effort, when students graduate from San Diego State and they're no longer students, we don't have the capacity to continue working with them at the same level or extent. And so what I've just learned over the last few months of our deepening engagement is that continuing circle. Because once they leave us, we could circle them right back into your programs and into the other programs within the community. And that was a mindset shift for me, because I've always looked at it in a one way. How do we get the community, the high school and the community college students interested in the 4-year, and never really thinking about it. What happens after the 4-year? Where we can bring them back. So we're looking at it now holistically, and that came from our discussions over the last few months.
Yeah, that was a real shock to us too. We found out from our research that 46% of our students have at least a bachelor's degree already that are in our program, which was shocking to me.
That's powerful. That's powerful to see trends like that, data like that, which causes a shift in mindset. And why this conversation is so important from a cooperative community point of view.
Yeah, and then I think continuing education has an even more. Is that right, from continuing ed?
Yes.
Even higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Think about all the people that you can pull out who, whether or not even they have a degree, but in the community. So if you think about all the services, and I know it's really near and dear to myself and at least Jennifer and a few others on this, that community-minded incubators are critical to the infrastructure of startups in general. And it really is an important aspect if we want San Diego to be that, right? To be known for innovation, you have to start someplace. And if you don't have the space for people, you got a problem. And it could just be a small little cube so that at least they have an address, so they can do their LLCs, so they can do all of their financials, and they don't have to give their home address, right? And it makes them look more professional. Right. So it is just the start. And this is my soapbox, guys. So if you didn't figure it out, yeah, I'm sorry. This is really my soapbox, and I'm very passionate about this. So if you can help out or think about this is where we want to be. This is great. I love that we have this panel. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your support, Ray. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, well,
Tanya, could I ask a question of the entrepreneurs? There are some powerful terms that you all have used that I wrote down: critical thinking, flexibility, passion, resilience. Is it your opinion that those traits are taught, that we can teach those traits, or those innate in the person that's going to be an entrepreneur?
If I can address that, I mean, that's a question in the research field that we focus on quite a bit. It's the question: are entrepreneurs born or are they made? And if we felt that it was born, we wouldn't have a community like this, I don't believe. I think that we can develop those through innovative pedagogy that is experiential in nature. And because we can simulate these and put them into the different experiential kind of environments to develop skill sets and competencies, as opposed to, I mean, to complement innate traits. That's how I would look at it. So our pedagogy has to focus on competency and skill development, because we want them to have confidence to exercise the skills that they have.
If I can jump in very quickly, because I see it every day with my business partner. So some people are born more risk adverse, some people are less afraid, and seeing risk as an opportunity is a major trait of success, and it's essential. Maybe you cannot teach someone to be a risk taker, but for sure you can help them to embrace risk little by little and learn to see risk as an opportunity and not just as a threat.
Yeah, I completely agree with Giacomo. I'd also like to say that I think there's a different set of skills when you're starting a business, where you're into that mindset of starting it and getting it going and all the planning. And then there's another set of skills that is required to actually keep it going and manage it. And I think those can be separated, actually. I think the beginning part is much harder for people. And I would also like to mention that, especially in the beginning, and going back to what was said about mental health, there's, if we don't have people around us that understand that mindset, they question everything, and they kind of sow doubt in our own minds. And I was in the program with Aaron and Matthew, and I have to say that was really one of the things that made a big difference for me, is that we were told, you can do this, we're going to give you the tools. And for me, that was really one of the more powerful elements, was that there was that kind of mentorship that didn't just address the specific processes and skills and things that we needed to do, but really helped us to prepare mentally. Like, yes, these, there's going to be people that are going to sow doubt, and I think keeping that passion alive and following through is really difficult for a lot of us, especially if we don't have that community around us to keep encouraging us or to help us with our questions.
Especially with maintaining confidence.
I'd like to just add one thing. I think we all talk about risk, but I think risk is about how to deal with a failure. A lot of people just don't know how to deal with a failure, and that's what causes the risk, more or less. I mean, I think teaching is about not to deal with the risk, but how to deal with the failure. It's a mindset you have to develop. That, I mean, when you teach somebody, okay, go and swim, and child does not have a risk of or thought process of failing or getting drowned. So this child just goes and learns very fast. As you grow up, you become more averse to risk, because more averse to failures. And that's, I think, we need to teach the younger generation that you can fail and still come back up. It's not an issue, and that once you get the mindset, they will know how to manage the risk. Just my 2 cents. That's at least what I think.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Jules from Village Up. So I created a program with Tanya Hertz called Startup Quest. Shameless plug is an innovative teaching method in regards to simulating real life in a risk environment. So it's not just about starter requests. It's actually, we need to create programs that can, what's just been discussed, the pedagogy of skill sets and so forth in a controlled environment. So it's really, we need to push and create new programs and new ways, new activities to engage this new normal and this new way of addressing mental health. Because Karen and Ray were part of Star Request. They could speak on how it was basically simulating what's out there in the controlled environment. And complementing what they learned in the rec, and we had some lab students participate. So it's those kind of innovations that we need to try and also create in partnership with community, the real life experience and the educational aspect, and that create that new pedagogy and paradigm shift. So thank you.
Yeah, I really want to add a quick thing, a point that off of Vivek, and it's really from the students' perspective. I feel like faculty need to understand that it's kind of challenging because it's counterintuitive from everything we've been taught. As far as failures are concerned, we can't get an F in your class, but yet we're encouraged to go out and essentially lose and fail as much as possible. And although, when you've been in the ecosystem for so long, it seems normal when you go K through 12. I mean, really the biggest difference is if you alter the way your classes are structured to where it mimics how it is in the real world. And no one is going to instantly want to trust when naturally as humans, we're being told one thing, but asked to do something else, but yet the expectations are all over the board.
I love that you're saying this, Karen. Actually, Alex DeNoble and I were having this conversation yesterday, shifting students from the student mindset into the entrepreneur mindset, where risk and failure is avoided at all costs to where it is embraced and encouraged. And that's a real difficult shift for us as educators to get people to change that mindset and stop trying to be perfect, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it. And even in family, people are so afraid to fail or be criticized even before failure that they don't even want to try.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We're going to have to end it here. What I'd like to do, I'd like to encourage everyone to, we have some great comments also going in the chat. I think, Stephen, if you wanted to share the results of the survey too, we can do that. Or of the survey questions rather, and just to teach, as the teacher in me wants to teach everybody a little thing about technology, and that is in that chat. If you would like to save anything in the chat, there's 3 little buttons at the very bottom that you can push on the bottom right, and you can save the chat. And then that way you get to keep everything that's been in there. And so if anybody wants to share their LinkedIn in there, their contact information, anything, encourage you all to do that. And then we're going to, is there anything else that we need to any of the teachers here from the different colleges that we need to share, or anybody else want to leave us with anything? All right. All right, then. Thank you everyone for being here. This was wonderful. I just can't wait. We'll do more of these, and gosh, I just love the conversation. I wish we could keep it going, but thanks everyone. And we will also share the recording of this as well. And have a good one. We'll see you at the next Regional Advisory Committee. Thanks so much.
Thank
everyone.
you, Tanya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you to the panel. Thank you to everyone who came. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you, everyone.
invitation,
Thank you,
Tanya.
everybody.
Of course,
Thanks,
yeah.
Tanya, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Juliet, thank
you.
you for re-emphasizing the experiential aspect of it. It came up over and over and over again. And I know the meeting is done, but I did want to reach out, and we bounced around on it 3 or 4 times. But if it wouldn't be for that, I think the product of what this is in the end would not be nearly as good. And so the mentoring capabilities, the internships, all of these things that combine in and come together inside of this incubator style access is so great. And that's why the financial piece of being able to drop 5 or 10K into it is so important, because I think we can get to the rest of it.
Yeah.
The problem is,
Try to get that though.
can we get that small amount into these? Because I'm telling you, these startups for 10, even for $5,000, there's a lot that can be done, right?
Oh yeah, they're so resourceful. They're so scrappy. Yes, I agreed 100%.
So if anybody's got any ideas, has got connections in the government, has got grant ideas, please, talk to Tanya, myself, anybody. We really, really want this to happen. So, and I know I can get funding for TCA. We've done a poll. People are into it. They want to give money for these small microfunds. The problem is that the fee structure for putting up a fund and trying to give away 10K is over the top, and so that's why we're trying to figure out how to do it.
It eats up all the profit. Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll find a way, right? We'll find a way.
We will. We will keep pounding on this till we get it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you all for your passion. I love it. All right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. So I'm going to actually stop the recording now.
Oh, you actually, I didn't realize I was still being recorded.